as well.
Hello.
Hi there, just joining early to make sure there weren't any issues.
Oh, I love them there. Yeah, but I don't know, on my camera. Just a second.
Yeah. Like sprout. Yeah. You're cool, man.
Good, thanks.
Here we go. It's an owl.
Call to order. Pledge allegiance, please. All right.
allegiance to the flag of the United States. To the republic. Indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call.
Roll call, trustee Dennis. Present. Trustee Evans. Here. Trustee Winklevoss.
Yes.
Trustee Price. Here. Mayor Will.
Here.
Let the record show all in present.
Are there any changes in relation to the agenda? Hearing none. Has anybody signed up to speak that are not on the agenda for the 3 minutes?
Mr. Mayor, before we start with the public comment, I'd like to make a few comments to the public.
Okay.
I would like to address the public attendees for a moment. We value the public's constructive comments. At the last meeting, one of the attendees attacked 2 of the town employees by commenting about their job performance. The comments were absolutely out of line in an open public meeting. If a member of the public has a complaint about a town employee, they should meet with the town administrator during office hours in private, who will then talk with the employee. If you do not feel comfortable talking to the town administrator, speak to the mayor or one of the board members, again, in private, who will talk with the town administrator. You should remember the practice of praising people in public and reprimanding them in private. While we value your input, making negative comments about staff in a public meeting opens the town and yourself up to a potential lawsuit for encouraging a hostile workplace. Our staff work hard for this town and do not deserve the negative treatment they have been receiving. Once again, your input is appreciated, but only during the public comment period or when asked for by the mayor on specific agenda items. And we thank you all for attending and showing an interest in our town.
I would like to add to that, if I may. A similar instance occurred before that, a couple months ago, and was done online. And part of it was our staff, so I didn't say anything in the public. I brought it to our administrators' attention and was told freedom of speech. Whereas in our last meeting with DOLA training, that's one thing that he very specifically said, that none of us, because we are all part of the staff, even though we may be trustees, we shouldn't be putting the comments out there on public public media. So that's just, and none of us are perfect, and we all are learning, but we all need to be respectful, because what it does is exactly what you said. It causes, especially when it's on social media, it causes a liability for that. Thank you. There's no persons that signed up for 3 minutes. We can move on to item number 6, approval of the minutes from July 16th, 2024.
I move we approve the minutes as presented for July, the meeting from July 16th, 2024.
We have a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, we have a vote or a roll call?
Trustee Winkleblack,
Yes.
trustee Zens,
Yes.
trustee Evans,
Yes.
trustee Price. Yes. Mayor Wilcox.
Yeah.
Thank you, motion passed.
Item number 7. Approved of July financial report. For approval.
Move that we approve the financial report for July as presented.
All second motion.
There's been a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, roll call vote.
Trustee Zens,
Yes.
trustee Price. Yes. Trustee Winkleblack,
Yes.
trustee Evans.
Yes.
Mayor Wilcox.
Yes.
Let the record show, motion is passed, thank you.
Item number 8. Friends of the Library, Mr. Dan Courier.
Thanks for having me. I've got a couple of things I'd like to talk about, but I'm getting ready. I brought you some brochures about the Valley Friends of the Library. And get this one done first. I can pass this around. Mike and I have been preparing to put a new door in the Stockton's banquet in the library. And only things to tell, lots of things having to do with the library, but in particular right now, banking nuclear business. Things to do to make it possible for us to be able to take care of that building, the friends of the library. And I think they'll be happy with the door once it's in. We're gonna work on it again tomorrow. And hopefully we'll have it in and finished and ready for the painters after this weekend. And then move on to reporting. What I came to do was last fall, we applied for a discretionary fund grant. Friends of the Library applied for a discretionary fund grant from the town. And the purpose of that grant, which we did receive, was to give us the wherewithal to be able to advertise and hold events to promote the digitization of the issues of the old Plateau Valley Voice and Plateau Voice newspapers, which we had and were stored at the library. And being that they're some of them over 100 years old, they're beginning to deteriorate, and so we wanted to get those digitized and put on the internet at historicnewspapers.com so that anyone, anywhere can look at those newspapers, read them, and read about the history of Plateau Valley as it essentially as it happened from the newspaper point of view. And that leads us to the fact that we figured when we first started this process, there might be 5 years raising enough money to do that. And we raised enough money, and the bill has been paid, and the newspapers are all with the Colorado Historic newspaper people right now, and they'll be online probably, well, certainly by the end of the year, but probably by November. And I really want to thank you guys, the town and the former board members that voted to give us the money to have the ability to advertise what we were doing so that we could get the job done. It happened a lot faster than we expected. I thought I owed you guys a big thank you. And I brought this one. This is an ancient cell phone. You might recognize that.
Go. The acronym is get on any telephone line, and I have 2 or 3 of them myself.
But the reason I brought this is because I thought maybe if people would be interested, this thing here, you climb up a pole, you clip the alligator clips on the bare wires, and then you flip the switch to monitor, and you listen. If nobody's on the line, then you can flip the switch to talk and dial. talk to somebody, but the reason I've got this is because. And you'll understand how this relates to the newspapers in just a little bit. We own the farmer's line, was a privately owned telephone, and I was hooked onto the telephone service here in Colbert. And our private farmer's line ran from the head of the peninsula all the way to my family's ranch up 16 miles east here in Fontaine Creek and branch off the Buzzard Creek. And then the line went on from there with several phones along the way, clear over to the Mud Creek Ranger Station. I don't know how many miles that is over there. It's like 50 miles.
We call that a lifeline because it was not just on telephone poles and such, it was on trees and,
Well,
not only fences and everything else.
since we had to use this phone, we had to repair the line, we had to be able to tell where the break was.
Sure.
And so you go down the line on the pole, click on. If you didn't have any phone service, you get down, go further down the line until you finally got some phone service, and then you know you could hone in on where the break was.
Just like the series Green Acres.
Yeah. So, well, this isn't a particularly old one, because you can see it's got a dial, you can dial on this. But I've used this thing quite a bit. And
It still has the dimples that goes into your fingernail.
yeah, the little,
That's one of the very first.
oh yeah, well, anyway, I know I've had it for a long time, so. At any rate, the point is that those old phone lines up there was phones screwed to trees in various places between the High Tower Ranger Station all the way to the Muddy Creek Ranger Station, in case people needed somebody in an emergency. And you can look in the old newspapers and you can find incidences where they actually had to use that phone in an emergency. And so this gets to another part of our project, is that we would like to be able to verify and record people's stories about their life in Plateau Valley. And that doesn't mean old stuff like this necessarily. There's people that are newcomers to the valley who have got stories that are equally important to everything else, but we can verify a lot of the stuff that's told through those newspapers. And we can take those stories and use it to have discussion amongst people in the valley and promote the idea that this is our memory, the valley memory.
Sure.
And I think it would be a really good thing for everybody in this valley to be able to share their collective experience and collective memory. Maybe even at some point we'll be able to record some of that stuff either in print or voice on a recording device, make that available also on the internet so people have the ability to, when we're talking about oral history that way, it doesn't have to be true. Because my view of the story and someone else's view of the story may be entirely different. And both of those stories together may get at truth better than if we had some historian writing it down. And I think it would bring people in the valley and people who used to live in the valley. The way I got this idea to extend this quite a while. But the thing that punctuated most for me is I was in Denver and I ran into someone who I didn't know. And they asked me where I was from. And I told them, I said, my grandparents homesteaded in Platinum. I still don't know what their name, but I never asked. That's quite a conversation. But that's not the point. This isn't just about me. It's not about you. It's about us.
It's how far we've come in such a short amount of time. This is 34 years when we moved up here, there was 3 that I personally know of, that Jim Miller told me. You know, he's in the, not hospice, but he's in the care facility right now, and he would be a good historian, but there was actually 3 of those circuits still working when we moved up here.
I know where several of them. ours was one of the longest.
Yes, it was.
The phone company got smart and bought us out. So we didn't have to maintain it. But nevertheless, I hope you get the point that I'm really grateful for what you've done and it gives us a big boost on the project. And I look forward to coming back to you sometime or inviting you to an event. Which the lady, our contact with Colorado Historic Newspapers is that she would come over here and give a presentation to tell us, everyone how to access the newspapers on the internet. And I'm kind of hoping that the auditorium will be finished by the time we can do that. And we can have that event in the auditorium. I haven't got a clue what your schedule is. And in case you wondered, I was kind of fishing, because I know it's gonna happen this year. But if we don't know what the schedule is or when it will be open for use again, that's perfectly okay with me. But I think it'd be nice to be able to use that for that kind of event. And Lee Jeremiah is really good at what she does. And she's good at presenting. There'd be one more thing I'd like to ask the town to help us out, give us a venue to have that event. But nevertheless, I'm really happy, and I know a lot of other people are really happy, and the people at the Colorado Historic Newspapers made it very clear that they really wanted these newspapers. And they wanted it well enough, badly enough, that they allowed us to get it a little cheaper than it would have been something they had targeted to have for a long time. And it's really nice to look on their website and see the newspapers they already have on their website. It says, through a partnership with Plateau Valley Friends of the Library. And so, we get credit, town's getting credit for what we're saying tonight. And I'm looking forward to seeing those newspapers on the internet a lot quicker than we thought. And you guys made it possible.
Well, we appreciate your time and your efforts and comments.
Well, I appreciate you guys' help. And maybe as time passes, we'll get you all in, have you tell your story, or at least the story you've heard. We can report it out, look it up in the newspapers, and make it a part of our collective history.
That might be a good event then when the auditorium finally gets open, to have something like that to kind of kick off, the opening of the auditorium. So
I would really like it. That's what I'm getting my big. We can be close.
We're hoping for construction, this part of the project be done in January.
Oh, that'll be.
Yeah.
And I know there's lots of stories out there, people, there's a lot of news in the old newspapers about things that happen at the auditorium. The difficult part for me is that we now, just this spring, got the old Plateau Valley Stockman and a few more issues of the Plateau Voice, the early 1900s. You got those online and they're available right now. But the disappointing part is from 1906 to 1911, those issues are totally missed. We can't even find a scrap of them in. So if anybody has their walls or insulated, better be checking. We might be able to get those too. And believe me, I've seen places where there were some old newspapers here in town, where we found old newspapers blocked the draft.
My advocate has all his papers in it, but they're.
24. Well, the oldest, most recent Plateau Valley Board, so you gave to the Plateau Valley, or to the Colorado Historic Newspapers in 1942. So,
Well, thank you, Danny.
yeah, thank you guys. Thank you. Don't forget yourself.
Okay. Number 9, consideration of special event permit Oktoberfest, September 13th, 2024.
So this, comes before you for Oktoberfest. We partner with the, hardware store. And I don't know if any of you have questions about the event, but we serve, Oktoberfest beer. We serve dinner. It's limited to 2 beers per person. We have a way to monitor that better, and that's what we're asking for.
So we can't go up and, if we don't drink, we can't go up and get 2 beers and give them to somebody else.
It would be really great. Probably not the greatest thing. No.
Sorry, good guys.
Move that, we approve the consideration of the special event permit, Oktoberfest, September 13th, 2024, as presented.
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion? Maybe we have a vote or roll call.
Trustee Evans,
Yes.
trustee Price. Yeah. Trustee Winkleblack,
Yes.
trustee Benz,
Yes.
Mayor Wilcox.
Yes.
Thank you, motion passed.
Good. Number 10, consideration of street closure permit for Oktoberfest, September 13th, 2024.
We close the street, from this side of Main here at High and go to, Short Street. We close that down, it's been stopped. We reroute traffic 2 different directions. And this is for our Oktoberfest.
Well, I move that we approve the consideration of street closure permit, Oktoberfest, September 13th, 2024, as presented.
I'll second the motion.
We have a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion, concern? Hearing none, roll call vote.
Trustee Price,
Yes.
trustee Benz,
Yes.
trustee Winkleblack,
Yes.
trustee Evans,
Yes.
Mayor Wilcox.
Yes.
Motion passed, thank you.
Item 11, introduction of Wilson Scarberry, town attorney.
Good evening, Mayor, members of the Board of Trustees and residents of the town of Colbrand. I'll just do a quick introduction and then I'm happy to open it up to questions if anyone has any questions about me or my experience. So I was born and raised in the Front Range of Colorado. I got my bachelor's degree in political science and philosophy from CU Boulder in 2015 and my law degree in 2021, and I was admitted to the bar later that same year. I have spent my whole career so far working for Colorado local governments. I joined the firm of Kissinger and Fellman a little over a year ago, and as of the first of this year, the firm Kissinger and Fellman merged with another firm to create our current firm, Wilson Williams Fellman and Dittman. So I would be appointed as the town attorney, but the town would benefit from the firm's 100+ years of or combined experience representing local governments. We have clients all over the state of Colorado, ranging from the Eastern Plains across the Front Range and many mountain communities, though I will admit Colbrand would be our first client in the Mesa County area. And my firm and me specifically have already done some minor work for the town on some telecommunications issues, but I look forward to continuing to work with the town and getting to know your community a little bit better.
And how many members of your firm are there? Different.
So there are 2 managing partners, Brandon Dittman and Nina Williams, who have both been practicing for, I think both of them have been practicing for about 20 years. And they all have their own host. They both have their own host of clients. There are 2 senior attorneys with the firm, Ken Fellman and Jeff Wilson, both of whom have been practicing for over 40 years. They work for the firm on sort of a part-time basis. We bring them in on projects as needed when we can really benefit from their just wealth of expertise on municipal issues. And then in addition to myself, there are 3 other associates that also work with the partners and also have some of their own clients. I currently work with or am the assistant town attorney in Bomar, which is a Front Range municipality, the town of Empire, and I'm also the assistant county attorney for Yuma County, clear on the other side of Colorado from y'all in the furthest northeast corner of the state.
Well, welcome aboard. I assume that will be coming up on our upcoming resolutions, but it's nice to be able to meet you. Hopefully we can get together face to face at some point.
Yes, you know, and I said it's obviously easier since we're on the Front Range for me to attend these meetings remotely, but at some point it would definitely be, I think it would be great for me to come out and meet everyone in person and get to know the town a little bit better. So once we get underway, I'll talk to Melanie about organizing that at some point.
Great. Sounds great.
Perfect. Well, if no one else has any other questions or comments, I don't want to hold up the rest of your busy agenda for the evening. So it was nice to meet you all remotely and look forward to meeting you in person.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
He's probably turning off his camera, but he'll be on for the rest of the meeting.
Yes, I'm sitting and I find if I'm not speaking, it helps to turn off the camera so I'm not distracting other folks who are just watching me.
Okay. Item number 12, resolution number 8, series 2024, a resolution of the Board of Trustees of the town of Colburn, Colorado, appointing Wilson D. Scarberry of Wilson, Williams, Feldman, Dittman as town attorney.
I move that we accept the resolution, series number 8, 2024, resolution of the Board of Trustees, Town of Colburn, appointing Wilson D. Scarberry, Wilson Williams Beltman Dittman as our town attorney.
I'll second the motion.
We have a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, roll call vote.
Trustee Winkleblack,
Yes.
trustee Evans,
Yes.
trustee Price. No. Trustee Zentz,
Yes.
Mayor Wilcox.
Yes.
Motion passed.
Okay. Item number 13, resolution number 9, series 2024, a resolution of the Board of Trustees of the town of Colburn approving a representation agreement with Wilson Williams, Feldman, Dittman for the town attorney legal services. What's that?
So this is approving.
Well, I move that we approve resolution number 9, series 2024, resolution of the Board of Trustees of the town of Colburn, Colorado, approving a representation agreement with Wilson Williams, Feldman, Dittman for town attorney legal services.
I'll second the motion.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, we have a vote.
Trustee Zentz,
Yes.
trustee Winkleblack,
Yes.
trustee Evans,
Yes.
trustee Price. No. Mayor Wilcox.
Yes.
Motion passed.
Item 14. Change order 1A for Mark Laird Construction.
So this is, for the approval of the change order, you guys have seen it in your packets. Starting our project over here in alleyway. So this came about, just last week is when he submitted this last.
And he was upset he wasn't paid in a timely manner.
That's right. And I can clarify that again, if you'd like me to.
Did it get published in the newspaper?
He did. It was published, the date of the final settlement was July 30th. And so that evening, that was last Tuesday, I prepared the check. And it was signed, and I think Mike has reached out with the check. So it is available to him. And that was for the retainage amount. This is for a separate amount for some additional work that he did. And so I have that check ready as well, so if you agree to the change order tonight, that'll be ready.
I move we approve the change order for my third construction.
A second,
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, may we have a vote, please?
Trustee Evans,
Yes.
trustee Price. Yeah. Trustee Benz,
yes,
trustee Winklek,
Yes.
Mayor Longfellow.
Yes,
Motion passed.
thank you. Item number 15. Approval of KLJ task order for water system, Highway 330 valve / air vac replacement in the amount of $8,000.
Yes, so. During testing of hydrants. They found that between Mike and KLJ Engineering, they found that we had some lower. Water pressure levels. And in researching, we believe that, well, we have found a stuck valve. And. We do think part of the problem is in this airlock. So. We are looking at. Replacing both of those and adding an additional. Valve to be able to turn water off at a different location.
Will that help as far as plugging the lines from, say, the old hospital down core as well?
Yeah, it will. If we get more pressure, obviously it's gonna help flush it. It's mostly gonna be helping with actually the flows and then isolating those sections. Right now, if we have to shut off anything at the edge of town, we have to shut off pretty much this whole street. And so this actually allows us to keep people on and keep the pressure right.
And this proposal is also for a hot swap in order, so in other words, without extended downtime. And that's part of the reason why it has to be engineered. I mean, we believe it's better to be engineered, but then they will also specify so that we can do that hot swap, get in, get it changed out in a single day, would be the goal. So that's why it's a little more involved than maybe RC doing it normally. And so this is for the task order from KLJ to engineer and have oversight while we're done.
So they made some pretty big errors on their engineering report for behind the alley. I mean, if they. Who's gonna know, cause I don't think those errors came to light until Mark got the copy of the prints, correct?
I'm not recalling which errors.
Like the pipe was gonna be in the middle of, like, there was just errors, wasn't there errors, Kendall?
Well, we had to change a couple of things with Mike and KLJ and Melanie and myself met in here. We made a couple of changes to it to add, so that Mark would know what different materials would be needed to complete the project. On this one, I would almost see where it may be a safer thing for our staff be able to have it taken care of as well.
That's one of the bigger reasons, you know, it's right on the side of the road. And then That's probably one of the biggest, or is the biggest, is the safety. Of course, we, try to do things the same way. And then being right on the side of the road, there is probably gonna be put in a vault that is up to standards for the streets, for plowing or, just safety. So, and right now it's pretty rough, but yeah, that's probably the biggest one, safety and, it's 25 through there, but it's hard to do. So,
So safety first,
I just wanna make sure we're giving a really true, very accurate blueprint and plans.
I think that we are, and from what Kendall's saying and what you're saying, I think we just have a little misconception. There will always be additional work happening on projects and.
Right. I think it's something like that, it's 2 inch, I think they even listed the wrong size pipe, didn't they? Anyway, possibly kind of people that.
and we made adjustments accordingly, and
I think we did change a few things at that point.
everybody was on the same page.
Yeah.
Well, and you have to understand it during any construction, especially underground things, you can go with the information that you have until you actually open it up and see what's there and get a better understanding of, oh, this isn't exactly what we thought, we do need to make changes. So they're not necessarily errors. They're things that you see as the construction project is going on that you didn't see before.
And I will say that with the age of our infrastructure and them, hand-drawn maps and hand-drawn stuff, a lot of times right now, that is what you will find is when we open a hole up in the ground, it may look a little different than what we thought it would look like from a hand-drawn map.
And that pretty much goes along with all construction when we first came up and I went down Salt Creek. And knocked on Griffiths or the attorney and offered him a private line. They looked at me like I was crazy and said, we're in the middle of litigation with US West. What are you talking about? We can have a private line. I said, I don't want to get in the middle of it because what's in their computer in Denver is different than what's here on the ground. And this is what I've spent this winter as a personal project, stay busy and offer. So would you like it? And of course, they were right on the money, and anybody else that wanted one got the same thing. If they would safer, easier for them to get a hold of medical assistance or whatever. And it made it easier for me to maintain and tell what was there, just like it would be for Mike and keeping our staff safety and bringing things up to date. So I'm certainly all for this airline back to replace it.
I move that we approve, the task order for KLJ for water system, Highway 330 valve and airbag replacement in the amount of $8,000.
Second. We have a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion or concern? Hearing none. Vote or roll call please.
Trustee Price,
Yeah,
trustee Abbott,
Yes.
trustee Winkleblack.
Yes.
Trustee Zentz,
Yes.
Mayor Wilcox.
Yes.
Thank you, motion passed.
Number 16, monthly staff update or questions.
if any of you have questions on the update. Yeah, I've got a question about what happened at the school board meeting, and if we're all on back to the door and we process some kind of manner and.
So we don't have what's submitted last. The 31st. No, the first Thursday, the first, yeah. So it was submitted in the deadline, we have gotten receipt of that, grant submission from the state. So the next step will be, a presentation, there's the option of usually doing them virtual or actually attending. Make a literally a 7-minute presentation, some question. That will be probably in late October or November. And then the award letters usually go out.
Or we have the setting. It is on track to be completed by August 30th. And so we've already talked to them about coming in and presenting to the board in September. I think we're looking at September 23rd. Maybe. But yes, in September, they will be in front of you.
With the study, will that show all of our water rights that the town has, or?
So it's not really about the
Right.
flood. And that has been done separately by the legal, by our water attorney, but it will evaluate historic flows into the water treatment plant. And so that is a piece of what comes into that, but it's not a separate invoice. It's just you have to see it, right? So.
The water attorney, is he gonna be the same one we've had for a long time, or? Okay.
Yes. And then the other thing with our staff update is on Monday night, August 26th, these flyers will go up shortly whenever we get a couple of things straightened out. And so that Monday will be our community dinner and kickoff for the call. What day is that? Monday? It'll be Monday, August 26th. So just so you're aware, we'll give you more information as we keep planning with our team consultant.
So that's changing the event that we originally penciled in for the 13th. We're gonna move it to the 26th.
Yeah.
Been noticing more sheriff roles in town recently. It's a good thing.
Yes, they, Friday afternoon, I, sat in on interview at the sheriff's office for 2 additional deputies moving to the RAD department, yes, rural area deputy. So they asked if I'd like to sit in, so, I thought that was great for relationship building to be able to be part of that. And 2 were selected. They have been present up here in the valley since Friday. So they are working. They are 7 days a week. They are in the valley for their shift. And that we do not have a Monday through Friday 8 to 5 type schedule. Their schedule will vary. Depending on what they see all wise, what they see activity wise, they'll be here anytime that they feel they need to be law enforcement presence, but they are, again, dedicated here. So.
Do you know if they've had any contact with the school administration yet?
I don't know if they have yet. They do have planned to. They were last year, so they just figured they would help with that moving forward. And they have already worked with the job. And they're all taking the SRO class so that they can be in the school. Yeah. So all of their RAD deputies, so all of the deputies that will be going through here will be attending the school resource officer training that is a week long. Next week, I think Sunday as well. Was also kind of fun when we were visiting with the sergeant. We kept saying your deputies, and he's like, no, they're your deputies. No, they're your deputies. I think that's really the these are the town deputies, and I think it's kind of a substation arrangement is where we'll get to. They've been in here, they've got full access, they're excited to be here, so.
So with our agreement, do we request a time frame, or do they work within their own set time frame? In terms of the 12 hours, right? The 12 hours basically on shift during the 7 days.
10 to 12, I want to say, and
We can do some requests if we're seeing something, or like I say, if they're getting called at a certain time and they're starting to see a uptick of something, but they're not just on days or just on nights. That will vary the entire time. And we can request something if you know.
I just think it'd be a good idea, they're on duty while school is there.
Yes.
And I think they'll probably have some office hours during the week, so that'll be during the office business time. And like for special events like Oktoberfest, they'll be here then, so that's kind of an out of the ordinary. Or could be out of the ordinary.
Yeah, and I think that the school resource officer position, so I think what they do is they have an entire department that is school resource officers dedicated just to that. They will also be in our school, not just our rural area deputies that will be in town. It's two separate divisions, if you will, and both of them will be in the school, but not just the deputies that are the rest of town too. So they'll be, and they'll work out that schedule again with the school, that isn't.
Can we talk to them about, Friday and Saturday, people going up, Sunday coming down, speeding through town, all those things. And they're gonna, we'll continue to talk about cameras and the signs, that warn you when you're speeding and all that kind of stuff. They're excited to deploy some of that into town as well.
Auditorium is running smoothly. They started.
They have to pull, they're all set up here.
I think they want, so they're getting ready to demo, but they're watching the weather. I think they want to make sure, because they don't want to open the building up if it's going to rain. So I'm not sure if they started demo just because of the rain that's in the forecast, and exterior demo. I think they're probably working inside. We will have a weekly meeting with the team, so we can keep track. So we'll do our staff reports, where we're at, and we talked to them already, about maybe coming in, maybe once a month, coming in to give you that. Sweet.
So in the front of the auditorium, I recall we had a veterans ball there, to the left is where that year we prepared food. Of course, there was a problem with the breakers, and all that kind of stuff. Now, is that area still in fact? I mean, where you can prepare food and you go to the left of the entrance?
So we are not doing any kitchen at this point. Anything like that is a big lift, literally because of the sewer. And so what we have talked to them actually, is those two rooms at this end of the building, perhaps demoing those. So it's just one big open space, but then what we've talked about is maybe doing some good fixtures, like some rolling tables, stainless steel tables that could be used for potlucks and things like that. So by the time we beef up the electric service, maybe we can put in some specially dedicated circuits for crock pots, and then, roll these tables out for buffets, and then, put them back up against the wall. We'll have racks and tables and chairs and things like that. But what that'll do is open up the space and let the light into the whole building from the west side.
Is there a faucet in that area?
There is not, the only faucets are in the bathroom area, so on the other side of the building, and that's the problem, is running that plumbing and freezing, the winterization problems, as well as then the sewer problems, because the sewer is in the alley.
Yeah.
And once, if we do too many of those things, we can run into some code issues and things like that, so we're having to kind of pull our punches on some of this, but.
And that's not in this funding section anyways, so the interior, that part of the interior, will come later. We're looking at a couple of things, like maybe a top filling sink back towards the bathroom, maybe not in the bathroom, but back there so that they can at least fill large pots with water because they can't in the bathroom sinks, so.
And you'll probably have some movable dividers so that if they want to block off the food prep area, they can do that.
Yeah,
Kind of stuff.
yeah, I think there's some creative ways to, just open it up a little bit more, less than, again, highlighting the 2 movie projectors that are upstairs, the antique projectors. By putting the glass walls, that opens that up more also, so just work it on.
Yeah.
Excited.
Yeah, one step at a time. Great.
Item number 18 is during public correspondence.
I do not believe so.
Upcoming meeting days. See here, the 20th of August and September 3rd.
And then, of course, the August 26th, we will have the community barbecue. And kick off to our plan. And then we've got a budget. We'll try and review, so we have something.
So at this time, we're just planning tonight and on the 20th for work sessions and whatnot.
A couple community members got back to me, were shocked there was a work session, and I told them because your public notice doesn't mean a work session.
Right.
We just need to be careful that those posted notices, do you know what I'm saying? It just says a meeting. Okay. Needs to be shown.
Yeah, it's on here.
Yeah, that's with in town.
Going back to the Facebook, you know.
Yeah, both places are legal out there, but okay, I'll double check on those ones are just double sided to.
Yeah,
You guys, I understand. Yeah, I saw that the checklist was here, the event was posted in town. Just gonna advertise,
Okay, we'll make it.
yeah, it says our meeting, that's all. It doesn't say that there's a work session following.
Well, then, if you're not comfortable doing it, we can not do session tonight. I mean, that's.
You just, those our legal posting sites are Donna's Hall, which probably needs changed in our resolution. And is it the one at Marigold or the post office?
It's post office. Here would be the official.
Here's.
That was pretty posted there. So we need to change one. It needs to be on the agenda next time probably. Because Donna's Hall is not accessible probably.
All with the construction, then so on.
We can do that. And then just make sure that when you post there, the full stories in. Sure. I'm asking transparency. So that people want and trust. Yeah. Mhm.
With that, we have item number 20, adjournment of the regular meeting. Motion,
Move that we adjourn the regular meeting.
I'll second the motion.
we have a motion and a second. Further discussion, hearing none. And vote.
Trustee Winnicott,
Yes.
Yes.
trustee Price, yes, trustee Jones,
Yes.
Mayor Lambert.
Yeah.
Motion passed, meeting adjourned at 6:53 p.m. So it's the board. That's fine, yeah, I just think to your point. Let's just not. Thank you all today.
We have another work session.
Good night, take care.
Calendar.
Good night.
Good to meet you, thank you.
We're gonna get this budget meeting set up, meetings, that's gonna be good. We can get it worked out.
Okay,
Let's do it. Well, this.
yeah, we can do the calendar and there's. Just in front of you, the first ones are statutory requirements through the state. You'll see that staff has already started and continues to meet. And then we will be meeting with you on, hopefully, we're gonna talk about a little bit, but we're hopefully on projects and where we wanna move forward. What's coming up? What do you guys see us working? So we will do that at the next budget meeting.
If there's things there, public would like us to work on or work in our budget for the next year, they may stop by and mention it to staff here in that hall.
We can bring that forward to you.
They can bring it forward to us.
You know, speaking on behalf of the American Legion, I was wondering if the town would have any recommendations in terms of, like an architect that we might be able to work with to design our veterans memorial.
We have looked into that, so as soon as we can get a meeting scheduled, we will, yeah.
So I'll talk to Russell, but I know that we would like to get it moving.
Okay.
And so, I mean, I really like the women's memorial, I like the way it's set up and everything, I see no reason to make any major changes, other than the army goes all the way to the left. Memory. And then you got the Navy and then Air Force and
Oh, yeah.
don't want to offend any airmen out there, but Coast Guard, of course, but at any rate, I think it would be helpful to start with somebody who might have some ideas and something that would work in conjunction with the town, because we have to work together on on designing that.
Definitely,
And
we'll get you some names, I know Jenny's looked into it, so we'll get you some names. Sweet.
okay, great.
Our discretionary fund applications, and adding more that we weren't gonna talk about, our discretionary fund applications will be going out shortly to the entities that have filled them out before, and then there will be postings and advertising in the newspaper and stuff about those applications being available. And then we'll go over again when we start budget.
So if we know of a nonprofit or, that might be interested in applying, we should let them know. Especially if they have.
Yep, they should come in and get one from us, yeah. Or reach out and email, we can always email them too. Great. Okay.
Hang up.
Not for me.
Okay.
So you said that, you're already working with town staff, right, to kind of get their needs and wants and
Yeah.
guys putting stuff together.
Okay, and then of course, each department will be in front of you, so it's
Okay.
like, we've done in the past,
Okay.
so you'll get to talk to them and they'll be here.
Sweet. That's very helpful, I would appreciated that, yeah, so that we really understand what the asks are, so.
And we have approached discretionary spending review 2 different ways. We've done it up until last year by doing the interviews and the recommendations before the budget was adopted. Last year, the board, just because of timing, they did it in January, and yeah, they did an approval of amount that was consistent with amounts in the past. And then they actually did the interviews in January to decide the actual individual. So you guys have the opportunity. So we usually end up with 8 to 10 applicants. We've given them 15 minutes to come in and do a presentation before. We've had boards that didn't feel that that was necessary because the application that they turn in has quite a bit of information. And then also then the last several years, the board asked that they come in and do a little presentation for the board to ask questions about the project or the program that they were wanting funds for. So if you guys would like us to schedule something like that, again, we give them about 15 minutes or so. It could be a long evening, they can try to do them all of them. But we could schedule a couple of extra, think of a couple of dates in probably October that you guys might be able to add into our schedule, because we'll probably need some extra days in it.
And I would definitely, personally, I would like to come in and give their presentation. I'm not, I don't have a preference on if they come before we approve the budget or after we approve the budget, because we'll have an idea of how much is being asked. So, I'm open to either way on that, but I would definitely like to have them come in.
Okay.
And I know up till now, there's been a break, and I want to extend, but has there been anybody from the public that is showing interest in forming any type of rodeo committee? Or anything with the rodeo ground?
No, again, we had the committee, after we had done the last, comprehensive plan on the rodeo grounds. They stopped because there wasn't really anything to work on. We've been working with all of the user groups anyway, because we have contact with them all the time. But I do figure if the rodeo ground becomes a priority in the budget, then we would definitely want to pull the user groups back together and bring that back into focus.
Yeah. The only feedback that I've had, or the biggest feedback is, I guess it's the rain and possibly I might would know about, needing more sand or something in that area, so maybe we could do something about the budget. With that next year,
We can, we'll bring it forward.
so. Anyway, brings a lot of people into the community. It's definitely safer for the animals and people who participate in the rodeo.
We also go to keep our head ground of any organization that may fund transporting individuals down to Junction like we had before. I know they discontinued that, but I don't know if there's other organizations that might fall into that area where they might. So you hear it, and certainly that help out. I don't know, are we have pretty good participation on that?
We're running still the same few riders that we have.
Oh, okay. Well, good, it's gotta fit in them, that's good. Yeah.
Thank you all for coming and calling in. Appreciate it.
Yeah.